Oh my god, what the fuck did I just do? After, you know, what am I doing? I gotta start all over now. I already had a good man.
So I can focus, I just need to focus on myself.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. If it's your first time here, welcome. We are eating today, y'all. This is not a mukbang. I'm not a mukbanger, okay? But I'm gonna sit down and chit chat with y'all for a bit, and I figured that eating some food, you know, well, kind of looks like we're having dinner or lunch together or brunch. But before I get started, I want to wish everyone a cruelty-free day so far. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. It is free. And if you are liking these type of videos that I'm doing, hit that thumbs up button for the likes and let me know down below in the comments. But before we get started, y'all, I'm going to go ahead and show you a little B-roll of what I am eating today. Okay, let's get started, y'all. I guess you can say it's a story time. There's going to be a point to it. My whole point, as I've said before, is to empower women and to enlighten people in general. And, you know, just so we can do better, you know. So let me just open up my baked potato here. You're probably hearing all this crumbling, so I apologize. But let's open up the baked potato. Am I going to I'll put a little bit of sour cream on the potato. I'm not going to put any cheese or anything. And then my big salad, y'all. Let's start with water. Cheers. Let me know what you guys are eating or what you've eaten today. This is my first meal of the day, and it is now 5:22 p.m. here where in my neck of the woods. And it's my first meal. I had a black coffee this morning, and now I'm having my first meal. I've been busy, but I figured I gotta eat, so I might as well sit down and chit chat with y'all. So thanks again for being here. Let's get started. I'm hungry, y'all. How y'all doing? Let me put some of the dressing on my salad here. It's just only green lettuce. I'm not too crazy about a whole bunch of stuff on my salads. I do like some croutons, but I didn't make any croutons. I haven't been able to find the fat-free croutons or some vegan fat-free croutons, but this is my ranch sauce. So let's get that started. You know, but believe it or not, these big salads actually fill me up. It's really just greens, but you know, it is what it is. To each his own. I like mine like this. And what was I saying? Let me get my napkins ready. This time I have wet naps and napkins. Anyway, in my last video, y'all, oh my god, I was so embarrassed. I was eating something, I think it was a spicy wrap. Some spicy cauliflower wrap, not cauliflower, some spicy cabbage wraps. And my makeup just started running on my eyes. I had like this big black spot in the corner of my eye. I need to pay attention more. Y'all let me know. Feel free to let me know in the comments below. Hey, Ms. J, you got something on your face. Okay? I don't take offense to that. I appreciate you looking out for me just as I look out for you. Okay? So in my last one, as I was editing, I'm still not finished editing it. I said, oh my god. I started off without the big... I think it was my eyeliner that was running. I started off with it fine, and as soon as I took the first bite of the spiciness, I guess I started to sweat a little because it was that spicy, and my makeup started running. So either I need better makeup or I just need to watch myself more, y'all. But anyway, let me get started, y'all. Let's start with some, I was going to start with the cauliflower chicken, but let's start with the salad. I really enjoy what I eat. So y'all, I'm going to talk about women and our perception on relationships and marriage. Sometimes it's just warped. Not for every woman, but for some of us. Not including me. I'm just an observer. And then I logicize things. That's just how I roll. I've always been that way. I'm not saying I know it all, but I logicize a lot of things. If logicize is the word. But I'm going to speak on women and relationships and women's perception on relationships. And sometimes how warped it is for a lot of women, how they think. And we can do better. So I'm going to start with a little story time. And then I'm going to speak on that. I hope I'm not forgetting to say anything, y'all. I already said hit the subscribe button. I already said hello to everyone. I just want to make sure that I pay you your respects first and foremost. Because after all, we are here chatting together and spending some time together. And some of us are eating together. Let me get some napkins just ready. So, when I was living in Miami, Florida, I pretty much grew up there in Dade County. And I'm originally, a little bit about me, just one thing. I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, the Cook County, the South Side. But at a young age, we moved to Miami, Florida. Us being from, you know, my parents being from the Caribbean islands and stuff, they didn't like the cold in Chicago. I was born there, but my whole family's from the Caribbean islands. So my parents decided to move to Miami, Florida, South Florida, where it's warm year round. So I grew up there most of my life. And then as an adult, after I had my son, there was my phone. After I had my son, I moved out of South Florida to, you know, seeking a better life for my son and myself. So when I was living in South Florida, I was working, I was at my job, and myself and a coworker of mine shared an office. And, you know, she started working at that place before I did. I was the newbie. And like I said, we were sharing a very small space, a very small office. So, you know, we got to talking and getting to know one another. I mean, after all, we had to spend a few hours a day together. So, you know, you kind of get to know the people that you work with. Excuse me. This is so good. I'm gonna dip it in the ranch sauce. There's ranch sauce on my lettuce, and I'm dipping the vegan fried chicken, cauliflower chicken, in ranch sauce. Maybe I'll have some. Look at me, how rude, speaking with my mouth open. I mean, with my mouth full. Maybe I'll have some cauliflower. Oh, God, I keep saying cauliflower. Maybe I'll have some cantaloupe for dessert. So anyway, back to what I was saying. And I hope this really enlightens a lot of people, mostly women. I hope this enlightens you. It's always my intent. Sharing my life experiences maybe might help someone and maybe spread awareness. You know, even if it's something small. I really believe women should look out for one another. And even if it's sometimes hearing something you don't want to hear, as long as you're willing to learn and to accept it and use it for growth and to better yourself, I think we women should do that for each other. And just everyone in general, male or female, but I'm speaking to the women in this particular story. So she and I got to talking. We got to know one another a little better. You know, and I'm a little bit more of a private person. But, you know, she started telling me about, you know, I found out she was in a relationship for 10 years. She used to be his babysitter. I mean, he wasn't a baby. He was already like a young teen. And I think she's like 8 years his senior. So maybe, I don't know, maybe she was babysitting when she was 16 and he was probably 8 years old. And of course, it was no Nothing like that. Nothing like what you guys might, some of y'all might be thinking. I mean, it wasn't like that at all. She just was babysitting him, and, you know, he was a kid, she was a teenager. Nothing, there was nothing there. That's not the point of this story. It was nothing like that. But as he got older, I guess she was friends with his mom. And you know how some teenagers just get a little part-time job, and some of them babysit, you know, for a little extra cash while they're going to high school. And he was, I think, 8 years old, because I think she was 8 years his senior. I think so, something like that. Or maybe 6 years his senior. So maybe he might have been 10, you know. But of course they weren't dating then, and she didn't like him then. It wasn't until he got older and he became a teen, I think, after he was already maybe a young man, that they started dating. So, moving forward, they were in a 10-year relationship, and they were doing very well. He was a police officer. This is all in South Florida. And he was a police officer. She worked at in the medical field. And they bought a house together. They had a pet together. They had been together for 10 years strong, you know. And they built together, you know. They had their issues, just like everyone does in a relationship. A lot of people didn't like that, you know, she was older than him. But my mom was 10 years older than my dad. So, you know, as long as it works, if it works for you, it works for you. But so anyway, so now they're adults out on their own. They bought a house. They had just bought a house, a really nice house. And like I said, he was a police officer, I believe, and she worked in the medical field. They were grinding, you know. And the holidays were coming up. Oh, my baked potatoes, Let me see if I can push it open here. I can't. Let's see, let me cut it open. Oh, I should have put some bacon seasoning on the potatoes, but I'm not about to do that now. I'm enjoying this too much. So, the holidays were coming up. Remember, they had been together for 10 years, a nice relationship. She invited me to her house at one point. I went to her house, and she showed me, you know, around. She gave me the grand tour of the nice house that she and him purchased. A young couple getting started. They didn't have any kids or anything. I think she was maybe 31 and he was probably 23 or 24, something like that. But he was the mature, serious kind of young man. You know, like a family man. He wasn't a party goer. He was a stay-at-home guy, kind of guy. He worked. He liked his pets. Quiet guy. He didn't go through that stage that a lot of us do, where when we become young adults, we want to go dancing, we want to try a lot of things. He was very laid back, you know, which, good for her. She didn't have to go through that, you know, of him wanting to go out. And as far as she told me, he never gave her the inclination that he was interested in dating other females. He was really into her. So when I went to her house, and she showed me around her house, and they had a really nice house that they purchased. So I met her ferret and everything. When he came home later, I got to meet him personally. I had heard about him at work. I got to meet him personally. And I witnessed, from what I saw, he was a very nice, quiet, laid-back guy. Very friendly. Very respectful. You could tell that he was into her. So, holidays were coming around. We were back at work one day. And she says, people, we know the girls, the girls at work, we all started talking about what we wanted. I think the Christmas was coming up. And the girls were talking about what they wanted for Christmas. What they were doing for Christmas. Stuff like that. What they were getting their loved ones for Christmas, you know, just the old Christmas talk. I gotta make sure my makeup ain't running. Y'all, excuse me. So there's a point to this story, so bear with me. So everybody was talking about the holidays and the gifts they were getting and giving and thoughts and stuff. I didn't even put ranch dressing on the potato. It's so good. I tell you, I'm a boring eater. That's why I say there's not a mukbang, because I don't eat interesting food. I eat plant-based foods, and I eat kind of like the same thing over and over again. Sometimes I try something new. Like I don't normally eat baked potato, but today I decided to. So this isn't a mukbang. So anyway, she comes around and says, she kind of said it like very determined. She looks at me and she says, you know, this Christmas, if he doesn't, speaking about her man, if he doesn't propose to me, I'm going to be really upset and so forth. And, you know, I want him to propose to me. I want to get married. She was saying I'm already 31 or whatever she was, 32, 31. I want to get married. It's been 10 years and he hasn't proposed. So if he doesn't propose this Christmas. And then I turned around and asked her, well, what are you going to do if he doesn't? And she said, I'm going to be so upset, I'm going to leave him. I was floored. I was floored that she said she was going to leave him. That just made no sense to me. I can understand that she was emotional. Y'all, why does my camera keep doing that? It keeps shutting off on me, and it ain't like the battery's dead or anything. No, I can't see if it is. But anyway, I was floored when she said, you know, that if he didn't propose to her after 10 years of having a relationship and building together and having a good relationship, from what I hear, that she would leave him. And like I said, I understand she was emotional. I understand that because she wants to get married. That's her prerogative. If that's what you want, that's what you want. To each his own. But to leave a 10-year relationship, that's already a commitment. He's already committed to her. So what's the difference? You just want that piece of paper that confirms it. And that's kind of like the introduction of what I want to speak on a little bit. Look, there's nothing wrong with wanting to get married. To each his own. The point is, know what you're doing and know what it really means. I know that marriage is a religious thing to a lot of people. It's a tradition to a lot of people. You know, it means what it means to a lot of people, and I respect that. I'm not going to try to change your mind on that. My point is this, that if you're willing to end something that you have that's already good because of something that you want, that's not healthy. Like in her case, that she said she would leave him. And I looked at her and I kind of like had to shake her a little bit and say, what are you talking about? You already are married. You guys are living like what they would consider a married couple to be. You have a house together. You've been living together. You've been together for 10 years. You guys share the same bank account. Pay the same bills together. Like, what more do you want? Is it because you just want the title of a wife? Is that going to make you feel more love? Because it doesn't make, it doesn't make any sense. Emotionally, it might make sense to her because that's what she wants. That's what she wants. And that's fine. But to leave an already committed relationship, which is something you want, obviously, because you're with him and you want to be married. The only difference there would be is a marriage license, and then now you could be called a wife. And that is so mind-blowing to me that a lot of women want to be a wife. And it's for shallow reasons. It's for reasons that now they feel that they're more loved, or that now it's secure, now it's forever. Meanwhile, in this case, she's been with him for 10 years. So I'm not saying that he shouldn't marry her. I'm not saying you shouldn't get married. What I'm saying is, know what it means to you. Know why you're doing it, why you want it, if that's what you want. But know that ultimately the one in control of your relationship is you and your partner. A title, is not going to make it more meaningful. That's just a thought. That's just emotional, which is valid. But in reality, it doesn't make it more valid. It doesn't make it more powerful. It doesn't make you the one. It doesn't make it forever. What makes that is you and your partner, what you guys put into it. You guys decide the commitment you guys want to have with one another. You guys decide how far you want to go and what you want to do. But to tear things up that you've worked on and build on because of something that you want and you're not getting, that's not healthy. So she kind of like, when I told her you're willing to let go of a 10-year relationship, which is already like a marriage, if that's what you want to call it. It's already a committed relationship is what I call it. You guys are committed to each other. You make commitments that you both agree on and you're living through them. And you're willing to let go 10 years of a good man that loves you and you love him, obviously, because you're not going to be a wife. And then what? Then what are you going to do? Now you got to go out there and meet someone else if you want to be in another relationship. And what about the 10 years that you already have with this young man? What are you going to do when you meet someone else? You're going to start all over? You don't know what you're getting. So I told her, my question now to you is, how much do you really love him that you're willing to let a 10-year relationship go, that he's been there for you, that people have come down on him because he's with an older woman, by what she has told me. You're willing to let him go. So my question to you is, who loves who here? Who's really committed to who here? Because he could have left you behind a long time ago when people were putting pressure on him that he shouldn't be with an older girl. And he decided to stay with you as young as he was. So who loves who here? Who's really is committed to who? It sounds to me that you're not the one, because you're willing to walk away from something you guys built together and he's still there. So it sounds like to me, either you really don't love him and you're not really in this relationship as committed you say you are, or you're being a brat. And that's, women, that's where we need to check ourselves. And I say ourselves because I don't want to point fingers. I don't want you to think that I'm pointing fingers at you. I particularly don't think that way. I'm very clear of what I want. I'm very clear of what marriage means. But I say we so that no one will get offended. And because I'm a woman, I'm talking about females. Too many women give power to marriage, to the title wife, and they overlook what they already have. Like I said, if you want to be married, that's fine. I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. By all means, I respect that. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is be clear of what it means to you and why you're really doing it. Maybe you're doing it because it's a tradition in your culture. Maybe you're doing it because you're a religious person. All that is fine, because you know why you're doing it. Because you're a traditional person, to honor your tradition, that's commendable. Because you're religious and you believe that marriage is religion. That's commendable. That's fine. But at least be clear that that's what it is. You're doing it for those reasons, not because now it's going to be forever, not because now he loves you more, not because now you're a wife and your duties now change, and wife means more than a girlfriend that's been together for the same amount of years. Like, for instance, let's say there's a couple that they're not legally married and they've been together for 20 years. Or let's go lower. Let's say they've been together for 7 years. And then there's another couple that has a title. They have the marriage license for 7 years. A lot of people are going to think that the 7-year marriage is deeper and more meaningful, or it's got the seal because they have a marriage license, or because they did it under God, which religion is a theory. Religion is not a fact. And what I'm talking about is fact. Like, a marriage license is legal. It's for legal purposes. Sometimes getting married is good because of legal reasons. You know, sometimes you have to be legally married for tax purposes, for medical purposes, just because things work better legally and financially. And if that's a reason why you want to get married, as long as you're clear about it. But I see too many women that all of a sudden they cry when a man proposes to them, even though they've been together for years. I mean, didn't you know that eventually you guys were going to be together for the long haul? I mean, you've been together for years already. But all this emotion and all this, oh my God, no, I'm going to get married. But you've been with the guy already. Didn't you know you guys were going to be together for the long haul? I'm sure you guys talked about it already. So too many women, I don't know if I'm making myself clear, because I don't have feedback, but give me some feedback in the comments, and I could always do a part 2. But be clear. If you want to be married, make it known when it is time to make it known. Like, let's say you start dating someone and you guys start getting serious, and now it's more monogamous, is getting more serious, and it's time to have the talk towards the beginning. And you know, you guys are, when you start talking about your views on life, what you want out of a life and out of a relationship, when you start talking about that, be clear. If you want to be married, say you want to be married, make that clear, and see if he or she feels the same way. I would think that if you want to be married, that's a very important conversation to have, and make sure you guys see eye to eye. Even though people could change their minds later on, there's no guarantee, because somebody says yes, they want to be married now, that they're being truthful, or that they might not change what they want later. Everybody changes their mind and grows and revamps themselves. But for the most part, make it clear. At least be responsible, make it clear. And state why. But as long as you know why, because you're doing it for religious reasons. But even if I didn't do it for religious reasons, whether I signed that piece of paper or not, I'm still going to be with you, because I'm the one that determines how committed I am to me. Not a marriage license, not a religion. You got to have your feet grounded, and you have to know the difference. Marriage, because of tradition, is one thing, but that doesn't mean that it's going to take over the fact that you are still the one that decides how serious the relationship is going to be. You and your partner decide that. It's nice. The tradition, the celebration of love, family gathering, all that is nice. The dress, all that stuff, it's nice if that's what you're into. But don't let that cloud your mind. And I see that too much in women. It clouds their mind, that they think now it's the end-all be-all. The end-all be-all is when you and him agree to that. At the moment you guys agree to it, it could be in the living room. It could be in a car. It could be just in passing that you guys are talking. The minute you both decide that, that's when it really truly matters, because you both have made a conscious decision that this is it. We're going to be together for the long haul, whether we sign that piece of paper or not. Now, the next conversation, in my opinion, should be, all right, so eventually, are we going to do it legally? Because what about for our taxes? What about if anything happens to you? I need, the laws here in the United States is, and I say here in the United States because I live in the United States, but the laws here is that if something happens to your spouse, to your loved one, if you're not the spouse, you can't make decisions for them. So those are important points that need to be discussed, of reasons why someone would get married. See, that's more realistic, that's more responsible, that makes more sense, and that's okay. But that's not because you're in love and because you want to be committed. You've already decided that, and that's when it matters. You decide how much you want to be committed, for how long. You guys put all that together. The marriage license is for legal purposes and to hold that title for acknowledgement and legalities. And the celebration is for religious purposes, and some people just want to celebrate their love and have fun. They want pictures, they want memories, they want to create that kind of memory. But you need to know what they are. One is for religion or tradition, and the other one is legalities. But when you already think that marriage is just one thing, like this young lady that I was just telling you about, that she said, I'll leave him if he doesn't propose this year, after 10 years, I question her integrity. I question her loyalty. And like I said, I understand that she was probably just being emotional. But to utter those words tells me that she doesn't have her feet in the ground. Because you can be emotional, but still know, yeah, I want to get married, but, I've been with him for 10 years. Maybe him and I need to discuss it again. Or maybe I need to accept the fact that he doesn't want to be married anymore, but he wants to stay with me for the long haul. And do I really want to walk away because I want to hold the title, because I want to make it legal? Like, you have to start making decisions and start revamping and seeing what are you going to do, but not end the relationship. Unless he tells you he doesn't want to marry you because he doesn't love you, or that you have suspicions that he's doing something he shouldn't be doing. But that wasn't the case. And I'm talking about when it's not the case, when he's loyal, when he's there with you, you know. So anyway, I thought that was crazy when she said that. It made no sense to me. I was not expecting her to say that. And I'm not sure when the holidays came around if he proposed to her or not. But the last time I remember, they were still together. So I guess she said it because she was emotional. But women, too many times women make decisions based off emotions, and sometimes that really fucks things up. It really does. It's okay to feel your emotions, but you can't be a brat. You gotta take accountability for yourself, for your emotions and your thoughts. And you gotta be responsible. You know, I see too many cases like that, where they give a lot of power to the engagement ring. What? Like, listen to what you're saying. Like, analyze your thoughts, analyze your principles, and see if they connect, if they make sense. You know what I'm saying? Have your feet on the ground. Try to just be logical about things. It's simple. You know, I always see it as, and I say this sometimes to people that I speak with, I see it as like categories. That's how I explain it to people when we're discussing these kind of topics. Like categories. Let's say you have drawers. You have an organizer, right? And there are drawers and shelves, right? In this drawer, I have my emotions. In this drawer, I have my principles, my thoughts, which is my thoughts, the things that I want, my logic, you know, because we all have logic. We just have to fine tune it sometimes. A lot of women don't use their logic because they just function purely off emotion, of their emotions, and that fucks things up a lot of times. Most of the times it's because of an emotional woman. And like I said, emotions are valid. Embrace your emotions. Don't deny them. By all means, don't deny your emotions, but don't react on them to the point where this young lady was going to end a 10-year relationship because he hadn't proposed. And he's not someone, but what she told me, that was giving her signals that he didn't want her anymore. He wanted to stay with her for the long haul. He wanted to grow old with her, have kids with her. And for her to say that if he doesn't propose to me this Christmas, I'm leaving him. What if he was waiting to propose to you next summer or something? You know what I'm saying? My point is, it's not something that you want to let go of so quickly. You know, it's something that you might want to just bring back to the table and discuss and see where things are going. But to get so emotional and bratty and have a tantrum and say, well, I'm leaving now, and then before you know, you're like, oh my God, what the fuck did I just do? After, you know, what am I doing? I got to start all over now. I already had a good man, all because I wanted to be married. That's what I'm saying. Think of those things ahead of time and make them clear to your partner, to your potential partner. And it doesn't mean you're going to get that, but be okay with the reality of things. Know where you stand. Be clear of the things that you want. Learn to adjust, not settle. You know, you have your standards, you have your principles, but don't let something go or give less meaning to something because, like, for instance, that example where the female said he gave her an engagement ring, and she says, I guess they were having a discussion, and she says, because this, I guess she was upset. She goes, because this doesn't really mean anything until I say I do. You know, that's offensive. If I would have been him, I would have been like, well, then give it back to me because I gave that to you with love. And I thought it meant something to you. But for you to now say because you're hurt or because you're emotional, for you to say those words that this doesn't mean anything until I say I do, just because you haven't said I do yet. Like, how immature is that? Emotionally, that's emotionally immature. And mentally immature, that it's like me. What about him? He did that for you. How dare you say this means nothing until I say I do? If you're hurt, put your feelings into perspective before you open your mouth. Analyze your emotions before you open your mouth. And if you open your mouth too soon, learn to take accountability at that moment and take a step back and rectify it for yourself first and foremost, because that's how we grow. I hope I'm making sense. But that story right there blew me away when she said she was going to let a 10-year relationship go. And I've heard too many similar stories like that. I've witnessed too many similar things like that of people that are willing to let go even a 3 or 4 year relationship, or just to let go of a good guy that they're already building together, that he's not cheating on her, and he's a good guy, and because you're not a wife yet, you're giving him a hard time. It's okay to express and remind him, but ask him where his mind is at and say, is it something you still want? And then if you want to walk away from that, fine. But walk away okay with it. Not angry, because if you walk away angry, that means you didn't have the talk with yourself first and foremost, and with your partner, to come to an agreement, to agree to disagree, if that's where it goes, and to walk away. Yeah, you might not be happy about it. It might not be but what you wanted, but that's life. That's how it is. Of course you want something like that, but you can't force someone. So, or maybe just by having the talk, then he does say, oh yeah, I was just waiting for, the right time, or maybe he wants to do something special for you. But it's okay to talk about it, not just sit there and wait. You're just waiting, like the story that I just said. Oh, he doesn't propose to me this holidays. I'm leaving him. Have you told him that lately? Did you tell him that if he doesn't propose, you're leaving him? Because that's a slap in his face. At least for that situation, because by what she told me, he was a very good guy. Very good in their relationship. If he's a bum, okay, well, you gotta let that go anyway. But ladies, we gotta do better. We gotta do better. I've even seen where, stop giving hints. Be grown about it. Stop giving hints. So, too many women say, I'm not going to make you a home-cooked meal because I ain't your wife. Or don't ask me to do that. I ain't your wife. They're not paying attention to what they're saying. And these are women that call themselves independent, but they set us back 50 years. These are the women that say, it ain't my job to cook. It ain't my job to this. Not that I'm saying that it is, because I'm not saying that. But then these are the very women that'll say, oh, you want me to cook your home meal? I don't see the ring on my finger. So what are you saying? That when he puts a ring in your finger, all of a sudden that thought that you had about, I'm an independent woman, I don't have to cook, the kitchen is not my place, all of a sudden you're going to make his meals? Because you just uttered those words. And that's what I mean. You might believe that, and that's fine too. You might believe that for yourself, that you want to cook for him all the time. You believe that's your duty. That's on you. That's a personal thing. That's neither here nor there. If it works for you and him, it works for you and him. If you're happy with it, you're happy with it. But my point is the example of, oh, you want me to cook for you? I ain't your wife. You want me to do this? I ain't your wife. That's a wife duty. That's a wife duty. Stop saying duties. Stop saying jobs. Why would I want to be with a man that I'm working on? We're working on our lives together. We're building together. I'm talking about in a relationship, a serious monogamous relationship. Hold on. Why wouldn't I want to do things for him? That's like for instance, me. I don't keep my car up as I should. I don't put gas, and I'm sure a lot of females and men could relate to this with their females. I don't really keep my car up the way I should. I'm always busy. I'm always running around. I'm always 24/7 busy mentally and physically. I'm always doing something, like a lot of us are. And I don't have time sometimes to clean my car. I wait till the last minute sometimes to put gas, which I know it's not good for the car. I wait for a long time to put oil in my car. And I'm not saying this is a man's duty. I'm just saying me. I don't do that. So let's say that I ask my boyfriend, I ask him, hey, can you put gas in the car for me? I'm tired. I just got home. I had a long day. Can you mind putting gas in the car for me? And that he says, I ain't your husband. What the fuck? Like, then why would you ever be if you can't do something like a simple favor for me? Well, that's what I mean about women that say, I'm not going to cook you a home-cooked meal, or I ain't going to do that for you. I ain't your wife. You see a ring in my finger? Why would he even want to continue with you if you won't show him what you have to offer, what you're willing to do for him? It doesn't make sense. Y'all women, you got to do better. You got to start thinking more logically, know what you have. You know, my camera is giving me a hard time. It keeps shutting down on me. But as I was saying, you know, show him what you have to offer when you guys are already in your committed relationship, just as he should show you. When you need him, he's there, whether it's emotionally or physically, mentally, and vice versa. Don't hold back just because you want a ring on your finger. Talk about it. Like grown folk, talk about it. And if you're not getting what you want, see if it's worth letting go. Really, see if it's worth letting go. You might have the best relationship there is. That people that have been in marriages for 10 years and 20 years are miserable. And here it is, you might have the relationship that they want, and you're not technically legally married. And you're questioning the relationship because of what you want. Because he marries you doesn't mean that he loves you more. It doesn't mean that. He can show you he loves you even if he doesn't marry you. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't get married. I'm not saying that. I'm just talking about to the women that give their man a hard time because they want to get married. They won't do something for their man. Being immature, saying, I ain't your woman, I ain't your wife. I mean, I can understand if you do a lot for him and you're giving and giving and giving and giving, and he's not reciprocating. Okay, well then maybe marriage is not the answer. Maybe the answer to that is take a step back and analyze your relationship and see if this is something you want to continue. Is it something that can be worked on? How long do I want to stay before I see if it's even repairable or not, or if it's going to grow or not? You start making decisions. It's okay to do that. You don't have to get emotional and angry about it. It might not be pleasant. It might hurt. Okay, that's how it is. But stay focused, because you're trying to get to a solution to move forward, whether together or not. But don't have a little adult tantrum and say, I don't see the ring in my finger. If you feel you're doing too much for him and he's not doing enough for you, talk about it. And if it doesn't change, give it in your mentally, in your mental calendar, give it a cutoff date. Talk about it and see if there's improvement. Some people need it. Men and women, sometimes we don't know, and our partner speaks to us and then we do better. We didn't know, or maybe we lost focus on that because we're going through our own stuff, but we want to make it work. So then we grow, we do better. But if you see that you're doing and he's not, maybe it's time you let it go. Don't just sit there and be miserable and make him miserable at the same time. So that was my point. I really hope I made myself clear. I don't say these points to bash women. I think that we should be honest with one another, to support one another. And like I said, for women of certain age that might have a little more experience, or to think a little bit more logical, it's okay to spread awareness. There's all kinds of awareness that we can spread. It's not always one main thing. Stuff like this, I think that a lot of young women can benefit from and maybe save a relationship, if that, you know. I'm not a relationship expert. My intention here is not to give relationship advice, because I'm not going to do that. I want to empower you personally, mentally. Your mental. Know when your emotions are at a high rate. Take a step back. Feel the emotion. Then think, what's best for me in this situation? What is it that I want? Which way do I want to go? What's my next step? And if you can't do that while you're feeling the emotion, take a step back and then come back later when your emotions are more leveled. But if you could do it at that moment, then you do it at that moment. But do not react off your emotions, because that's how things get violent. That's how sometimes you say things you regret. And it comes off as immature and like you're having an adult tantrum. You know, that's when, you know, females slash tires and burn clothes. That movie, Waiting to Exhale, I know it's a classic. I read the book before I watched the movie. And it's funny because I remember it was years ago. I read the book. A friend of mine said, hey, you know, you should read this book. So I started reading it. And I loved it. And then one day, that same friend say, hey, months later after I finished the book, let's go to the movies. So this is in Miami, Florida. And we went to the movies, and I had forgotten about the book already. And I'm sitting here watching the movie, and I knew what was going to happen next. And I was feeling like, what the fuck? Did I watch this movie before? Have I seen this movie? I knew I hadn't. And then I'm looking at her, I said, I think what's going to happen now, he's going to do this and this and this and that. And then I realized that I was watching the movie Waiting to Exhale, which I already had read the book. And the movie is always a little different than the book. I like the book better, but the movie was enjoyable. I loved it. Waiting to Exhale was one of my favorite books at the time. But one thing about the movie Waiting to Exhale with Angela Bassett, even though it was a monumental moment, according to a lot of people from what I see, it really sends the wrong message to females. And you know how they say the secrecy of social media, of how it kind of programs your mind? We might want to entertain something like that, because when Angela Bassett went into his closet and took his clothes and burned all his clothes, that was like a woman's anthem. I disagreed with it. I enjoyed the movie for entertainment purposes only, but it made no sense to me, because although I understood that she was in pain emotionally, she was hurting because he betrayed her, burning his clothes wasn't going to bring him back. It wasn't going to change the fact that you gave all those years. You were a good woman to him. That's commendable, but you chose to support him, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. That's what you do when you love someone. You want guys want to build together. You support one another. But you also have to have your feet on the ground and know some things end. So that to me sent the wrong message to a lot of women, saying that that's how you're supposed to behave when you're hurting. No, when you're hurting, you try to go to a healthy place and heal however you heal. But don't be disruptive. That's not good for you nor the situation. I know it happens, and I know that's probably what a lot of women want, because they want to hurt him like he hurt you, but you can't. You know, so that's just for your instant gratification. And it's not a good sign to send. You know, I understand it. I understand why a woman would do that, because she's hurting, but it's just immature and it's disruptive, you know. So anyway, my battery's about to die, y'all. Thanks for listening. I still love that movie. Angela Bassett is one of my favorite actresses. She's awesome. But take it for what it is. I hope you can take something positive from this. I say it with love. I just want the best. And y'all, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you think, if you have any feedback. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.